Act 1. The briefing. You've been in special operations for 11 years. Delta Force, the unit. The one that doesn't officially exist. You've done things in rooms that don't appear on any map for people whose names you'll never know. This is Tuesday for you. December 22nd, 2025, Fort Bragg. They pull you and your team into a skiff. Sensitive compartmented information facility. No phones, no watches, no windows. A man in a suit you've never seen opens a folder. The photo inside is a face every person on Earth recognizes. Nicolás Maduro, President of Venezuela. The man says the word apprehension, not assassination, not regime change, apprehension. They want him alive. They want him in handcuffs on American soil. You've captured warlords in Somalia. You've extracted hostages in Syria. You've killed men in rooms so dark you couldn't see their faces. But you've never snatched a sitting president. The target location is Fort Tiuna, the largest military complex in Venezuela, in the heart of Caracas. Surrounded by 12 million people, Maduro sleeps there. 200 operators. That's the assault force. 200 against a military base in a capital city defended by thousands of soldiers and Cuban intelligence. The man in the suit says the operation is codenamed Absolute Resolve. He says it like he's ordering lunch. You hear the words, and your stomach drops. Your team leader looks at you. You look at him. 11 years of operations and neither of you has ever seen anything like this. The plan is insane. Fly into the most heavily defended complex in South America at 2 a.m., suppress air defenses, cut power, jam communications, land on the compound, find Maduro, extract him, get out before the sun comes up. The timeline is 45 minutes on the ground, 45 minutes to change the history of a continent. They give you a Christmas leave date, December 25th. You go home. You eat turkey with your family. Your daughter sits on your lap. She's 4. She asks where you're going. You say work. Work. The word you use when the truth would make the people you love unable to sleep. Act 2. The preparation. Back at Bragg, the mock-up is ready. A full-scale replica of Maduro's residential section built inside a hangar. Every wall, every door, every hallway measured from satellite imagery and CIA human intelligence. You rehearse the breach 14 times. 14 times through the same doors. 14 times clearing the same rooms. 14 times until your body can do it without your brain. The intelligence package is 300 pages. Maduro's security detail, 32 Cuban advisors, Venezuelan Presidential Guard, dog patrols, camera positions, shift changes. The Cubans are the problem. They're not Venezuelan conscripts. They're trained intelligence officers. Fidel Castro sent the first ones decades ago. These are the grandchildren of that doctrine. They will fight. The air plan involves 150 aircraft, F-22S, F-35S, B-1 bombers, EA-1 8G Growlers for electronic warfare, and E-2 Hawkeye for airborne command. RQ-170 stealth drones already circling Caracas for weeks, and nobody knows. The helicopters are 160th SOAR, the Night Stalkers, the best pilots on Earth. They flew into Abbottabad for bin Laden, they flew into Mogadishu, now they're flying into Caracas. Your ride is an MH-60 Black Hawk, modified, silent rotors, infrared suppression, the kind that doesn't appear on radar and barely appears in the air. The rules of engagement are specific. Maduro alive, his wife, Cilia Flores, alive. Lethal force authorized against anyone who fires first. Minimize civilian casualties. The words minimize are doing a lot of work in that sentence. They brief you on the BUK M2E surface-to-air missile systems. Russian-made, Venezuelan-operated. If one of those locks onto your helicopter, there is no countermeasure. There is only a fireball. A teammate asks what happens if Maduro isn't there. The briefer pauses. Then he says, the mission continues regardless. You understand what that means. It means you don't come home empty-handed. The date moves. Christmas is canceled. Then it's back. Then it moves to January 3rd. You don't ask why. You never ask why. You prepare. New Year's Eve. You're in a staging area that doesn't have a name. The Caribbean air is warm. The stars are bright. Somewhere across that water is a capital city that has no idea what's coming. You clean your rifle for the last time. Check your NODs. Check your body armor. Check your tourniquets. You have 4, 1 for each limb. Because the math of special operations says if you need a 5th, you're already dead. Act 3. The flight in. January 3rd, 0100 hours. The rotors spin up and the sound is the sound of the world about to change. 12 Black Hawks. 6 Chinooks. Attack helicopters flanking. 150 aircraft in the air above you, forming an invisible ceiling of American firepower. You're in the back of the Black Hawk with 5 other operators. Night vision down, weapons indexed. The Caribbean below is black. The city ahead is aglow on the horizon. The Growlers go first. Electronic warfare. Every Venezuelan radar screen goes blank at the same moment. Every communication frequency fills with static. An entire country goes deaf and blind in 3 seconds. The B-1 hit the air defense sites. The BUK systems that could kill your helicopter are burning before the operators can reach the launch consoles. You hear the explosions through the airframe, thuds you feel in your chest. The F-22S establish air superiority over Caracas in 90 seconds. Venezuelan Su-30S never leave the ground. Venezuelan F-16S sit in their hangars. Nothing flies tonight except American aircraft. Your pilot drops to 200 feet. The Black Hawk is screaming over rooftops now. You can see laundry lines and satellite dishes, and people who will wake up tomorrow in a different country. The lights go out in Caracas, section by section. The power grid drops. 12 million people plunged into darkness. From the air, the city looks like it's being swallowed. Radio call. 3 minutes to target. You check your team. Everyone's eyes are wide behind their nods. Green world. Everything is green. The buildings, the streets, the compound growing larger in the windshield. You see Fort Tiuna, the largest military base in Venezuela. Walls, guard towers, barracks, motor pools. Somewhere inside that fortress, a dictator is sleeping. The attack helicopters open up. Rockets into the motor pool, into the vehicle depot, into anything that could chase you when you land. The explosions light up the compound like a stadium. Small arms fire from below, green tracers reaching up, Venezuelan soldiers shooting at shadows, shooting at the sound of rotors they can hear but can't see. Most of them are shooting in the wrong direction. The pilot says, 30 seconds. You stand up in the cabin, hook into the fast rope. The ground is rushing up. The noise is everything. You breathe once, then you're falling. Act 4. The breach. Your boots hit Venezuelan soil and the clock starts. 45 minutes. 6 operators. You move as one organism. Years of training compressed into muscle memory that doesn't need thought. Stack on the door. Breacher up. 3, 2, 1. The charge blows the door inward. You're through the frame before the dust settles. Rifle up, laser sweeping. The hallway is dark, and the only light is the infrared flood on your NODs. First room, empty. Second room, a desk. Papers. A television still on but showing static because every broadcast frequency in the country is jammed. Third room, contact. 2 Cuban security officers. They're reaching for weapons. You see the movement before they complete it. 2 shots. Center mass. Both men drop. The sound is sharp and flat in the confined space. You don't stop. You can't stop. The timeline doesn't allow for stopping. Step over. Keep moving. Clear the next room. A Venezuelan guard comes around a corner. He's young, maybe 20. He's holding his rifle, but his hands are shaking so hard the barrel is drawing circles in the air. He sees your nods and your laser, and he drops the weapon. You zip tie him, face down. You say the only Spanish you know. No te muevas. Don't move. He nods. He understands. He's going to live because he made the right choice in a half-second window. A door at the end of the hallway, reinforced. This is it. The intelligence says, this is the residential quarters. Behind this door is either the mission or the failure. Breacher sets the charge. You stack. Your heart rate is 160, but your hands are steady because the body and the mind are two separate machines, and right now, the body is in charge. The door goes. You're through. A bedroom. Expensive furniture. Gold accents. A painting of Simón Bolívar that probably cost more than your house. A woman screams. Celia Flores, Maduro's wife. She's in the bed. She's screaming in Spanish so fast you can't track the words. And there he is, Nicolás Maduro, standing by the bed in a tracksuit, the most wanted man in the Western Hemisphere. He's shorter than you expected. They're always shorter than you expect. He raises his hands. He doesn't fight. He doesn't run. He stands there with his hands up and his eyes wide, and you realize that every dictator in the world looks exactly the same when the door comes off the hinges. Act 5. The Extraction. Objective secured. You say the words into your radio, and somewhere on an aircraft carrier, a room full of generals exhales. Maduro's hands are zip-tied behind his back. Flores is restrained beside him. Neither is injured. That matters. The orders said, alive. Alive means alive. You move them through the hallway. The building is still taking fire from outside. Venezuelan soldiers are shooting at your perimeter team. Sporadic, confused. Shooting at everything and hitting nothing. Through the nods, you see your teammates holding the courtyard. 2 wounded Venezuelans on the ground. A Cuban officer face down in the doorway of a guard post. He made a different choice than the young soldier. The Black Hawk is on the ground, rotors still spinning. The pilot is counting seconds because every second on the ground is a second closer to a lucky RPG. You push Maduro toward the helicopter. He stumbles. You grab his arm. For 1 second, you're holding the arm of a man who controlled 30 million people. The arm feels normal, human, ordinary. He looks at you. Through the nods, his face is green and distorted. He says something in Spanish. You don't understand it. Later, a translator tells you, he said, "Tell them I went peacefully." Into the helicopter. Flores goes in first, then Maduro, then you. The door gunner is scanning the tree line. Tracers are coming from 2 directions now. The Venezuelans are getting organized. The pilot pulls pitch. The Black Hawk lifts. For 3 seconds, you're in the kill zone. Slow, heavy, the perfect target. Small arms rounds hit the airframe. Ping, ping, ping. The sound of luck deciding who lives. You clear the rooftops. The attack helicopters are covering your exit. Rockets into anything that shoots. The compound below is burning in 6 places. The motor pool. The guard towers. The communications center. You look down at Caracas. 12 million people in the dark. Some of them will celebrate. Some of them will mourn. All of them will wake up in a different country. Maduro is sitting on the floor of the Black Hawk, his hands behind his back. His tracksuit is dirty. His eyes are closed. The most powerful man in Venezuela is sitting on the floor of an American helicopter in his pajamas. The Caribbean. Open water. The USS Iwo Jima is a gray rectangle on the Black Ocean. You're going home. The mission is complete. 23 minutes on the ground. Not 45. 23. Act 6. The ship. The wheels touch the deck of the Iwo Jima, and the helicopter shuts down, and the noise is replaced by something you've almost forgotten. Silence. They take Maduro below. DEA agents are waiting. The handover is clinical. Military to law enforcement. Soldier to prisoner. Dictator to defendant. You walk to the edge of the flight deck. The Caribbean wind is warm. The stars are still there. Venezuela is a dark shape on the horizon. From here, it looks peaceful. Your team gathers. 6 men. No one is injured. That's not normal. 11 years of operations and you know the math. Someone always bleeds. Tonight, nobody bled. Tonight was the exception. The team leader does the count. All operators accounted for. All objectives achieved. 0 friendly casualties. He says this into a radio, and somewhere at Fort Bragg, someone writes it down. You take off your helmet. The sweat has soaked through the padding. You take off your body armor, 28 pounds lighter. The air hits your chest, and you feel like you might float away. Below deck, Maduro is in a holding cell. Tomorrow he'll be on a plane to New York. Tomorrow he'll walk into a federal courthouse. Tomorrow the man who ran a country will stand in front of a judge. A sailor hands you coffee. Instant. Terrible. The best coffee you've ever tasted. You drink it on the flight deck, watching the sun come up over the Caribbean. The first sunrise of a Venezuela without Maduro. You think about the young Venezuelan soldier, the one who dropped his weapon, the one whose hands were shaking, the one you zip-tied and left face down. You hope someone untied him. You hope he went home. You think about the 2 Cuban officers, the ones who reached for their weapons, the ones who made the choice that ended them. You don't feel guilt. You don't feel nothing either. You feel the space between those 2 things. That's where operators live. Someone takes a photo. The team. Flight deck. Sunrise. No faces visible. No unit patches. No identification. The photo will exist on one phone and then be deleted. But you'll remember the moment forever. You call your wife from a satellite phone. You say, "I'm safe." She says, "Okay." She doesn't ask where you were. She stopped asking years ago. She says your daughter drew you a picture. A house with a yellow door. Act 7, the aftermath. January 4th, Trump holds a press conference. He calls it the most stunning display of American military might since World War II. You watch it on a screen below deck. He doesn't mention your name. He never will. The news shows the video. DEA agents walking Maduro down a corridor. A carpet that says DEA, NYD. The word perp walked trending on every platform. The whole world watching a man in handcuffs who yesterday controlled an army. Social media explodes. Venezuelans in Miami dancing in the streets. Venezuelans in Caracas afraid to leave their houses. The same operation, 2 completely different realities. 83 people died that night. 47 Venezuelan soldiers, 32 Cuban intelligence officers, 4 civilians who were in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, because you read the report. The report doesn't name any of them. The international reaction splits the world. Argentina celebrates. Brazil condemns. Russia calls it aggression. China calls it a dangerous precedent. The UN says it violates the Charter. You don't have opinions about geopolitics. You have a rifle and orders. Delcy Rodriguez is sworn in as acting president. The Venezuelan government continues. The palace has a new face but the same problems. 30 million people wondering if this changes anything. The CIA director flies to Caracas to meet Rodriguez. He tells her the rules. No adversaries on Venezuelan soil. No Cuban military. No Russian advisors. Cooperate or the next operation won't be a capture. Political prisoners start being released. Doors opening. People walking out of cells into sunlight for the first time in years. You see the footage and you think, maybe this is the part they'll remember. Not the helicopters, the doors opening. But you also know history. You know what happened after Iraq, after Libya, after Afghanistan. You know that removing a man from a palace doesn't remove a problem from a country. An amnesty bill is drafted. Crimes from 1999 to present. 25 years of political persecution being erased with a signature. You wonder if a signature is enough. Your team does the after-action review. The things that went right, the things that went wrong. The 3-second window where tracers came